All right, my name is Sheng Wong. I've got 17 years experience in military and law enforcement firearms worldwide, and marksman shooter and a firearms instructor as well. I'm a New Zealand Navy champion shooter and also New Zealand pistol champion with numerous championship titles and currently holding 4 New Zealand records.
Fantastic. Can you tell us more about those records?
The records are Silver's Pistol Match and Speed Steel, so one of the fastest shooter in New Zealand. Alright, so I brought along AR15 rifle or variant and also a Glock pistol as well. So I'll be showing you guys how to clean using the breakthrough products. So always remember everybody, when you work with firearms, rule number 1 is treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Rule number 2 is make sure you know your safe direction or identify a safe direction. Rule number 3, make sure finger is outside the trigger guard until you're ready to shoot or have made the decision to fire. And the last rule, rule number 4, is make sure you identify your target, what's around it and behind it. And that's the 4 rules. Alright, so just preparing cleaning kit for the rifle. So for the rifle, you need, once again, the solution. And then you have the oil, toothbrush, 2 to 3 patches, cleaning rod. Gonna have to assemble that with a cleaning rod handle. You have 2 to 3 brush, nylon brush. You have the patch holder. You have the jack tip. You have the chamber brush. And then you have the bolt carrier brush. Alright, so this is the AR15 rifle. Before you clean, you must make sure that the rifle is clear. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So make sure the rifle is clear, finger outside trigger guard, check, make sure the safety is on safe, confirm no magazine fitted. Lock the bolt to the rear, and just double check again, make sure that look in chamber, confirm the rifle is clear. Once I'm happy it's clear, forward, and I can go ahead and take the firearm apart or disassemble. So to disassemble, this pin is called the takedown pin. So I'm going to push from the left side and pull up from the right, like so. But it's best for me, once again, there's different ways to clean rifles, but this is how I like to clean my rifle. So I decide to, I'm going to go ahead and actually split the upper and lower receivers. So now I'm pulling the pivot pin. The rifle is split in half. Alright, so from here I'm just going to close up the pin. Alright. So that's the lower receiver, and then this part here is the upper receiver. So the next part is to pull out the charging handle, and then grab hold of the bolt and pull the bolt straight out. So this is the bolt carrier assembly, and then the charging handle comes out. Alright, I'm going to further strip the bolt carrier assembly. So what you're going to do is, the first thing you do is for this particular rifle is pull out the firing pin, retaining pin. Then the next thing is the firing pin will drop out. And then the next part is the cam pin, which is this piece here. You have to rotate so it can drop out. And then finally pull the bolt straight out. Now I like to clean my extractor, so I'm going to further disassemble the bolt carrier assembly. I'm going to use the firing pin as a tool, pull out the or push out the pin, the extractor pin, and the extractor comes out. And I'm going to clean the buffer tube as well. So I'm going to use one of this brush and press this D10 spring here, and this is the buffer tube. Spring loaded. Alright, so I'm just going to break down to this part and I'm going to start cleaning. Alright, so I've got my solution. What we do is I can start off by squirting the upper receiver area. And I'm going to bring it down a bit. I'm going to squirt it inside the chamber and let some of the solution drops down into the barrel. Alright, I'm going to squirt some in the muzzle end, which is the birch cage or suppressor or compensator. Sorry, compensator. Just squirt a bit here as well. Alright, then I'm just going to leave it. Now, a good thing about this one is it doesn't dry up. So it's quite good. You can squirt it, just leave it, and it just stays moist. Other chemicals, it dries up like alcohol. Alright, then bolt carrier assembly. Squirt, and then squirt through inside here, front and back. Just leave it. Charging handle. That'll do. Bolt. And then pay attention to the back part of the bolt. That's where all the heavy carbon build up. Extractor. Cam pin. Firing pin retaining pin. Firing pin. Alright, so the next part is the buffer. The actual buffer. So build screw on that one. Buffer spring. Just build on that one. And for the low receiver, just a little bit, trigger mechanism and the magazine well. Alright. Okay, so whilst I'm waiting for this to soak up a little bit, I'm going to start to assemble the cleaning rod. Cleaning rods, most of the pieces are the same except for one. Locate the one that swivels, and that means that that'll be the one that you're going to assemble up to full length, and it will just rotate because the rifling of the barrel, it spins, it turns. Sorry, so that's why it has this one of the end can be able to turn so that it doesn't unscrew itself as you push the patch through. This rifle has a 20-inch barrel, so you have to use the whole section of the cleaning rod. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a patch through with the solvent. So I'm going to use a patch holder. I'm going to use a 2 to 3 patch, feed it through. Solvent. Saturate a bit. Alright. Okay, I'm going to fit in through the ejection port cover end and out through the muzzle. Ideally, if you have a ball guide, that's a good tool to have. But if you don't, just make sure that you insert the rod carefully, because otherwise, if you don't, you may damage the chamber end of the rifle. Alright, so I like to position the rifle so that I can see, so that cover up so I can see through the chamber, and then insert my patch saturated with the solvent, and then push as straight as I can and out through the muzzle. So just nice and slow, so it sprays all the solvent inside the rifling. All the way out. Remove the patch and remove the rod. Alright, so I'm going to leave this soak for a while. I'm going to start brushing up the lower receiver. So with the lower receiver, you get your brush up the trigger mechanism, magazine well. Now to get access to the back part of trigger mechanism, for this particular rifle, select to fire, place your hand on the hammer and then operate trigger, and then gently ease the hammer forward, because if metal hit metal under high spring tension, you can actually damage part of the rifle. Alright, so this way now I can get access to the rear part of the rifle, the trigger mechanism. And that looks pretty good, and just wipe it with a microfiber cloth. Alright, I'm going to set the hammer back down and put it back to safe. Okay, wipe the inside of the magazine well. And that's it for the low receiver. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is the buffer spring and the buffer, and then I'll wipe all that down. And then oil it and then reassemble. Alright, so push this back in. Okay, with the oil, just run it all along the length of spring. Change direction, just run another one through, and then with your hands, just smear it across. Okay, once you've done that, this is good to go back in. Like so. Okay, next thing I'll clean is the charging handle. Or to just give it a wipe. And then for the underside, you can use the small end of the brush, fit through a microfiber cloth, and just run it through to get access to the channel inside. Alright, so this part is done. Alright, so the next part is the bolt carrier assembly. So the bolt carrier, wipe it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush the insides. So I'm going to use the bolt carrier brush. So I'm going to change my rod. I'm going to unscrew a section. And I'm going to use a non-swiveling section because I need to push in and out and rotate them as well to give a really good clean. So just a standard section, screw it in. The bolt cleaning brush. Alright, and all you have to do is face the front end, push in and out. It's pretty tight fit. Push in and out a few times, and then back in, and then rotate them. So it gives a good overall clean. Once you've done it, pull them out again, and then reverse the bolt, and then go through the other end, and clean the other end, the other side. Brush in and out, push it in, rotate it a few times, pull it back out. That's it. Unscrew the section. Okay, so this is clean now, the bolt carrier. Okay, next thing is the bolt. So there's a bolt here. So a bit of brush the lugs, locking lugs. Face of the bolt. The back part of the bolt. And at the same time check the gas rings. For this particular rifle you have 3 gas rings. Just making sure that each ring has gap, just making sure all the gaps are not aligned, just to prevent gas from leaking out, which may cause a bit of malfunction. Alright, make sure there's no carbon buildup, and then wipe it. Extractor. Alright. Brush the extractor. Make sure that this channel where it actually catches to the back part of the shell casing, make sure that part is all clean. So you can use a small brush, check, make sure it's clean, and then wipe it with a microfiber cloth. Yeah, once you've done that, you can assemble the extractor back into the bolt. Make sure that the pin is pushing evenly. Check both sides, that's good. Alright, so that's the bolt done. Firing pin, easy to clean, just wipe off. That's it. Cam pin, bit of brush, wipe. Done. Firing pin, retaining pin, just give it a wipe. Just like that. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to assemble the bolt carrier assembly, and then we'll move on to the upper receiver. Alright, so oiling. What we're going to do is put 1 drop of oil onto the bolt, and then with your fingers spray the oil throughout the whole bolt. Okay, once you've done that, insert to the bolt carrier. Make sure you know which way it goes in, because they got holes on both sides. It's tapered, so it only goes one end like a puzzle. So best way to remember is the extractor is in line with the indentation on the bolt. Alright, so cam pin, a drop, and then spray it and insert the cam pin in. Pull the bolt forward, rotate cam pin 90 degrees. Firing pin doesn't need that much oil, so just put 1 drop on your finger and spread it. Drop the firing pin in, and the last piece is firing pin retaining pin. Just put a drop on your finger and spray. Alright, firearm retaining pin goes in. And just to check, make sure you get assembled correctly. Tap the bolt, firearm pin should not drop. Extend the bolt back, so it's ready for assembly later on. Alright, so that leaves the upper receiver for last. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the chamber end. So start with a brush first. So brush up whatever you can see, especially the gas tube. So use brush up the gas tube. To get access to that channel right inside, once again, we're going to use the small end of the brush, microfiber cloth, put it through here and just rub across. Alright, so that's one way to get access to it. Okay, give the rest a bit of wipe. Okay, so for chamber end, I'm going to change the tip into the chamber brush, screw in, push it right in here, in and out a number of times. For this example, just do it 20 times and then rotate it a few times and then pull it out again. Alright, so that's the chamber clean. Okay, remove this. What I'm going to do now is the next step is to clean the barrel. So I'm going to remove the section of the cleaning rod, reassemble back to the rest of the cleaning rod. Okay, locate the cleaning rod with the swivel end. Insert the handle. Make sure it's tight. Barrel brush. Alright. I'm going to brush in and out a number of times, back and forth. Alright, about that much. Alright, so then the next step is putting a patch through using a jag tip. So remove the brush, change it to a jag tip. Screw it in. Get a piece of patch, stab it right in the center, and push it through. So what it's doing now is just going to get rid of all the gunk that you just brushed up. And I'm going to travel in one direction only, and that's the same direction as the bullet. Okay, remove that patch. Remove your rod. Check, make sure the rod is still tight. Still screw on. And feed another patch. One patch at a time. Stab it right in the center. And feed through. Keep feeding until the patch is clean. Alright, and it looks pretty clean. Remove. Okay, now we're ready to reassemble the rifle. Alright, so back to the bolt carry assembly. What we're going to do is we're going to put generous amount of oil. Alright, and then with your finger spread it. Now if you're going to store your rifle in a safe for a period of time, recommend that you wet a patch of oil and then go through the barrel, so at least you lubricate the barrel or put an oil coating inside. Right. Is it nice and shiny? That's sufficient oil. Charging handle, pay attention to the shiny bits. That's where you need to put oil. Okay, once you've done that, charging handle goes back in. Leave about 2 inches exposed, so it gives way for the bolt carry assembly to go in. Push all the way in. Meet up the upper and lower receivers. what I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle the bolt to spray the oil. Wipe off any excess oil. And next part is, so if you're going to store it away, you're going to put oil on certain parts of the rifle externally, and just to make sure that it doesn't get rusty. So what you can do is put a drop of oil on your finger, for example, so you don't put too much. And for example, in this case, the nut that locks the carry handle to the upper receiver, put a bit of oil there. The bolt catch, the pivot pin and the takedown pin, bit of oil, touch, safety stacker lever, trigger, and on the other side, the 2 pins, takedown pin, pivot pin, magazine release, and then move on to the forward bolt assist, and a bit of oil on the barrel, compensator, front iron sight, and you're done. As option, it does come with this silicone gun cloth. You can use that and wipe the parts as well. So either or, it doesn't really matter. Alright, and that's how you clean the rifle. You can do a function test just to make sure you assemble everything correctly. So a function test is work the charging handle, still on safe, attempt to operate trigger, it should not fire. Next thing is select fire, operate trigger, hammer falls, keep the trigger finger squeeze with your other hand, work the charging handle to reset, and then attain trigger reset on the trigger. Once you hear that, that's good. See if you can go back on safe, and that's how you know if you assemble it correctly. That's how you clean a rifle.